Today's podcast is really about old souls, and I've been spending a lot of time listening to a lot of students, a lot of members of All for Synchronicity, and many of them have had questions in regards to the world stage events, many about their own lives and so forth. And one of the thoughts that kept coming to my mind was how individuals that are recognizing changes in the world and themselves are then seeking a depth of answer. So they get to the point where they think to themselves, why am I here? What is my purpose in the now? And that's what today's podcast is about. It's hopefully going to share some insight in regards to old souls and what really is our purpose. And a couple of my last podcasts was tapping on what the Bible had to say to us in regards to our purpose here. So I think it's kind of fed into today's output. And the old soul mentality, many of you in our lives might have one individual or a couple of individuals, very calm, very pleasant, very outgoing. Doesn't matter how old they seem, they act very young and always the energy to continue. These are the old souls shining brightly. And it doesn't matter what negative events appear in your daily life, you turn out to brush them off. They're just not even a hindrance in your happening. And that is an old soul. And we're here as individuals experiencing the individual experience in the skin suit. But we also can continue to come round in the loops. And often you'll find in your karmic circle of friends and acquaintances that there's the old souls trying to help the younger souls, ones that have not came to the realm so often as others. And I often, through my life, I've heard the sentence saying, the best ones go first. And is the best ones the old souls that are just going around faster than the rest, or is the best really those that come in every few times that leave a significant dent? So today's episode, we live in the realm where there's ley lines and all these connections, and the realm knows us as much as ourselves. My dogs just came in, so it's a partial distraction from what I was thinking. But the ley lines and the realm that we're in, it knows you. And I don't know if you old souls have been noticing, but everything seems to happen more around you than the others. The others are in an observer role, and some of these young souls, they're always in their mind, they're stuck with thought. But the one that's learnt the awareness of what thought really is, and whose thought is really theirs and something else, then those are the wise ones. And this year, this century, 2020, this is actually a series of events that's happened in the realm to help you waken up to your truths. And it's not just the old souls that's waking up, it's the younger ones, the newer ones. And there's even some souls that are coming in now at very young ages, so awake, that they even know their last incarnation. And that is... So I'm going to look at some of my notes and share what I was thinking today, but being part of the old souls, it's our purpose to shape the future using our words. We have many tools, and some of them are mentioned in the Bible. And if you take time to delve deep, I think there's a lot of sevens that point to what has occurred in regards to spiritually, tools and so forth. And just to tap on one of it, there was a guy recently put out a video, God Unlimited, and he was even highlighting how many sevens he found in the Bible. But just to share one of the pieces in the Revelation section, 7 candlesticks, the 7 churches, and it refers to the ancient churches that existed when Jesus was there, and he wrote to them. But there's many other sevens in the Bible, and it's truly worth listening to his episode. I can leave a link in the description to do so. It's a 40-minute episode, so I'm not sure if you want to just skip a little bit into it. But either way, the 7 thing, really worth tapping into. So power with words and the way that we interact with people. Like sometimes there's a aggressive energy that's maybe being portrayed, which isn't meant, but us old souls, we would know how to diffuse these kind of situations. And it's applying the practice of mastery. And all these things are in my book. We'll share them, but today's podcast, I'm just trying to skim some of the reasons because of the questions and so on with the community. So I thought it was really interesting how we share some of these wisdoms and highlight future content that's coming. So power with words for the ley lines. Why do some of you or us believe we are reincarnated? And I've been tapping into this, as an old soul, you have a lot of weight. And you'll even find that some of the elders in your karmic circles will give you more respect because of the way that you interact. They seem to recognize an older soul. And often someone in the elder retirement ages, they've gone through a life cycle, so they have a greater awareness or penetration of seeing in their time that single incarnation. The recognition of such things is really easy. As the decade goes through, we are expecting power of change, and that episode I was mentioning on God Unlimited, that guy even speaks of the same similar things. It's beautiful. And it also reminds me on some of the other speakers from the first wave, 2008-9, when they were speaking about the wind of truth and how the corruption was on its last legs. And if you think about what the pandemic event really is, it's the last squirm for the uneducated controllers to attempt to do their last attempt of control. And if you actually take a step back and have a wider perception, you'll notice that they've lost even more control because of their acts. And this is why it's a divine reset happening at a spiritual level rather than a grand reset being portrayed by a few people that have a propaganda machine. And frankly, I'm not one to believe in negative events, especially being an old soul. We know our realm, how it just gives you everything. A benevolent way of life if we allow it to be, instead of living the life of poverty, which is all in a mindset. So the old souls, you have a higher conscious penetration. Like I was mentioning, these young people that are reincarnating here now, they are knowing their old soul, they're knowing their old journeys. That is having a fundamental impact in the realm. It's calming situations, certain areas. And even in the Bible, there's a story, I think it's in the Job, where the angel says, leave the city, take your family. And they weren't allowed to look back. And I think one individual, I think it's the wife or the mother, she looked back, she turned to a pillar of salt. There's a lot of interesting truths also connected to this, but for this instance here, the story itself told us that because there was righteous, spiritually people in that town, nothing would harm the town. So much so that God actually sent a messenger, an angel, to say to them, move, or said destruction happened. If you have that real true power of faith and know that you're a higher soul, higher conscious group, you know your impact at your. It's truly beautiful. So we need to try and work together in the sense that we recognize the old soul within, and our duty is to help those around us and just be you, but be happy being you. There's no point of an old soul reincarnating here, walking around with an upside down frown or an upside down smile, trying to project out a change when you're negative yourself. So if there's any of these old souls out there, a little boost and a reminder that your purpose is much more than just being frowny upside down facing, and you need to turn it around and start hugging yourself, love yourself so that you can love the others. Your old souls are going, yeah, I'm kicking myself, or no, I've been doing it right, I am not that. Whatever you do, practice more mastery techniques and rub it off on others. You'll notice that just being you, you're planting a seed, you're helping someone blossom, you're just giving someone a good word, like, well done, you did that great, or something, It's the power of the mastery, things that come from our heart chakra. As we tap into more of our self-mastery, we'll find that others are liking it, and more synchronicities will occur. And if you are a known old soul, you'll know how easy mastery is, and you'll know the result is of synchronicity. And the more synchronicities you can have in your day, the more you're bending the realm, the more the realm is trying to come at you because of your kindness, your ancient self shining brightly. And the more we do this to others, the more we'll diffuse awkward situations, the more we'll ease everybody's path. The pandemic or whatever other events that are portrayed should actually start to dissolve into nothing. That is the power of our old soul. And we're not here to try and look to the doom and the gloom. We're simply moving beyond it because we know the power of our soul. So, as part of being an old soul, you also know that there's a level of awareness, which some people immediately call common sense. But frankly, I think that is just an overused term. As Steiner explained to people in some of his books, there is actually a super sensible state of awareness, a super sensible state of consciousness. And in knowing this, you seem to draw a lot of psychic answers, a lot of synchronicities, and the whole, everything just starts unfolding before your eyes, in the sense that another person comes to you and says something that you've pondered or shared, and just the super sensible side of yourself just starts making yourself be in a state of amazement. And I've said to many people over the years, that reminds me of what Buddha used to say, you sit in a state of amazement, you're truly enlightened. And Buddha meditated a lot of time and spent a lot of time doing things. And if you know the story of Buddha, he had a lot of wealth behind him long before he gave it up. Moving on in some of my other notes. So, a wise, old, cheerful person, even if you're young, is a person with signs of an old soul. And you have to remember to be that positive speaker and not let any negativity seep into you. The good things about us old souls is we're not interested in the mainstream media's drama in any way, and more than likely we've been encouraging other people to find other ways away from propaganda machines. It's really the greatest thing. And if you think about the Bible and you really get into reading what it was, there's a few people asked me some parts which to start with. Some people struggle with the Gospel of John, but I have said to a few people, try there. It starts at the beginning. It really does give you a good part, but some of you might find it a bit like Steiner, some of you might not. The amazing thing with Jesus Christ was he was the biggest protester. You think about it. He wasn't a protester in the sense that he rallied people up to protest. He was just simply being righteous. And if you think about how man's law contradicts many of the divine laws, then how do you walk the realm? And that's when you start learning a lot of interesting things. I'm going to head over to this over here, but when you start obtaining books like this, I'm holding up to the camera for you guys, you can actually start to learn a bit about the common law and why that common law is actually divine law, and why that man's law contradicts most of its own laws. And Jesus Christ walked this realm just basically showing us that thousands of years ago, before most of the laws had even rolled over. And if you look through the history of laws, the Magna Carta was 1225. So that document brought forth barons and made the monarch actually serve an office which served the people and so forth. And you can read it; it's a massive thing. Actually, heaps of books. Go get it. Go have a skim of it. Magna Carta 1225. This book that I'm mentioning here, it taps on some of these aspects that the Christ highlighted for us then, which has gotten even worse now. And when you start to learn too, you can actually walk both laws and comply, but not even comply with any of the man's laws, because they're all fake laws working for dead corpus. And dead corpus is something that doesn't exist. So it's all fake at the moment it began. Thus, it's an invalid contract. And if you go back and you look up any of the events that was historical around about 2008, that money crash, you can actually identify why their contracts was nil void then and still are now. Going back to the tension with today's Old Souls podcast, and to finish it, the mainstream media and the world are really trying to make ripples of doom, and they're trying to diminish the efforts that our old souls actually give. And this is why today's podcast is really important. Important in the sense that some of you need to be reminded we don't play with ripples of doom. And if you think about all the drama that's been happening past, you go back to the Mayan calendar, that was meant to be the end of time, and then back to the Y2K, that was meant to be computers, because they didn't have 2 digits in the date. Guys, we've always heard ripples of doom, even since, and if you go back to the Lucifer stuff, the bearer of light, he's now the doom, it's the whole Brahma, all doom. My message to you all, there's nothing to fear. There's just great things to come out. And as we're watching the grand stage come to its close, watching certain old souls lose their opportunity to reincarnate for one kalpa, and we're watching our beautiful old souls shine brightly. And soon we're going to take over the realm, in the sense that it might not be this incarnation, but we're going to watch old souls take over the realm instead of these little, shall we say, unenlightened people. And it's already been written. There's nothing new under the sun. Being the old soul, we are aware of the level of the happening and profoundness of being in the present. It's the gift of now. And the hope that I would wish everybody to receive from today's podcast would grow the awareness to enjoy those moments in lives, those profound moments which make memories. To remember to enjoy it with those that are around us, because even though we might find obstruction in our own personal joys, they're just in their own maya, and in the illusion, the ludary, and the fact that we're blessed to see their ludary is really the present. So it's the gift, In life, the only thing that really matters, the only thing, is the profound memories. And if you think about it, if you really, really take a moment to think about it, right? We came from dust. We go back to dust. All of us. No one's missing it. So the only thing, other than dust, really exists is consciousness, is memories. That's why reincarnation is true. Old souls know this. Young souls, they're learning this. Everybody, you're all in the ludary. You're all having the fun. Make sure you have fun, right? Don't let any negativity. Love and blessings to you all from Scotland.